Well, hey kids, welcome back to our weekly Kids for Truth video, where, as you know by now, we are exploring some of the big truths of God together. And this week, we're continuing to explore some of the big truths about God's greatness. And today, we're going to explore the fact that God is greater than we could ever imagine. How strong are you? Let's see those biceps. Maybe if your brothers or sisters or your mom or dad are around, maybe you can show them your bicep and your big muscle and ask them if they're impressed. Who's the strongest person you know? Did you know that there are people who can pick up like 800 pounds off the ground or even put over 1,000 pounds on their back and lift it up? But as strong as those people might be, and as strong as you might be, no one is strong like God is strong. Listen to what God says in Job 40 and verse 9. God asked this question: have you an arm like God? And can you thunder with a voice like his? God says, do you have an arm like mine? Yeah, I don't think so. No one is strong like God is strong. And today we're going to learn about God's strength. And we're going to see a man who learned a lot about God's strength. Job, in the Bible, found out that God was really big and strong, and he was really tiny and weak. Did you know that God is so great that we can't fully understand him? Listen to what the Apostle Paul says in Romans 11 and verse 33. Oh, the depths of the riches and wisdom and knowledge of God. How unsearchable are his judgments and how inscrutable his ways. Paul says that God is rich and deep in wisdom. He's perfect in his wisdom. That means he always does the best things in the best way. And he has all knowledge. God knows everything about everything. His wisdom and his knowledge and his judgments are deep. Did you know that the deepest place on earth is actually in the ocean? And it's almost 7 miles down. Now, 7 miles, that's a long way. If you started walking, it would probably take you 2 hours, maybe a little bit more, to walk 7 miles. Or you can imagine it like this. Can you imagine walking down a staircase for 2 to 3 hours? That's how long it would take you to reach the bottom of this trench, the deepest place on earth. But as deep as that place is, it's not as deep as God's wisdom and God's judgments. God is perfect in all his ways. We can never reach the bottom of God's greatness. They're unsearchable. Well, there's a man in the Bible named Job who helps us understand just how unsearchable and unknowable God's ways are. God allowed a lot of awful things to happen to Job. He lost all of his wealth, his children died, and he was even covered from head to toes with sores. He was very sick. But God had a purpose in everything that was happening to Job. But Job couldn't understand it. He couldn't see it. And he began to question God. God, why did you let all these things happen to me? Do you know what you're doing? Haven't I served you faithfully? Did you know that God didn't answer Job directly? Instead, God asked Job some questions. God said to Job, where were you when I made the earth? Did you command the sun to come up in the morning? Can you send the lightning from the sky and call it back again? Can you provide food for the lions or for the birds? Did you give the horse its strength? Can you command an eagle to soar high in the sky? Now, why did God ask all these questions? What was the point that he was trying to make? He was telling Job that he is great. He's superior to Job. His wisdom is above Job's understanding and Job's knowledge. Job would never be able to understand or comprehend all of God's ways. Instead, Job needed to simply trust God, even though he could not understand all that God was doing. Well, finally, after a lot of questions and a lot of discussion, Job finally understands. What does he understand? He understands that he will never fully understand God. And at the end of this story, in Job 42, Job responds like this to the Lord. I know that you can do all things, and that no purpose of yours can be thwarted or stopped. Who is this that hides counsel without knowledge? Therefore I have uttered what I did not understand, things too wonderful for me, which I did not know. Job admits, I was asking questions, and I didn't really understand what I was even talking about. I was demanding to know what you were doing, God, but I could never fully understand. So instead of demanding to know what you're doing, I'm simply going to trust you because you are great. You are in control. This big God, sovereign God, transcendent above all his creation, past our understanding, knows and cares for you. He has a plan and he has a purpose for everything that happens in your life and my life, just like he had a plan and purpose for Job, even when he couldn't understand it, even when we can't understand it. That's how strong and awesome our God is. Our God is great, even when we can't understand. Well, hey, thanks so much for hanging out with us again on this Kids for Truth video. Join us again, and we'll continue to explore these big truths about God. Have a great week.